just thinking, wow, hey, Mike used to have a beard. Then you got a home here. Welcome to the Go Show, celebrating all things outdoors. This beautiful outdoor playground of a state, nation, and world that we live in. That was interesting. Just got cleaned up before the show and decided to use my little beard trimmer there, and apparently the damn guard's broken. So it's stubble Mike. And I had to before we jumped on, I had to FaceTime. That's why I'm a little bit late. I had to FaceTime my girlfriend and to say, Becky, just so you know, something happened, and I am no longer bearded. So that's but it's okay. It's okay. I had to make sure that I FaceTimed her before she jumped on this show and saw that that her man no longer has a beard. So it's a bit frightening right now. I'm seeing myself in the camera, and it's really freaking me out. But we're okay. We're gonna get through this. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you got a great week planned. I am so very excited that I get to at the end of the week go rafting down the Grand Canyon. It's going to be fantastic. Super excited with girlfriend, her two girls, and my two kiddos, and we're just going to have a blast. It's going to be a huge adventure, and I'm super excited. So I'm really geeked up about it. But let's not talk politics. Politics was again crazy this weekend. So let's just get right into what we need to get into. Actually, you know what? Let's dip into a little bit of politics, but not in that way. I want you to repeat after me because this is very important. All right, repeat after me. Legislators and voters need to stay out of conservation. Ready? Come on, keep it going with me. Legislators and voters need to stay out of conservation. I am so sick and tired of seeing things like HSUS up in Colorado trying to eliminate predator hunting, cat hunting. And now I see, and what's up, Lynn? Now I see in New York, Governor Hochul is jumping on board with her state legislators that started legislating conservation. That is the worst idea ever. Voters and legislators need to stay out of conservation. Wildlife conservation needs to be done with biology and science. That's it, y'all. They have biologists. They have science. Every state has the scientists and biologists that are researching, that are studying, that know healthy population levels, that understand urban sprawl, that study all of this, that study basically water allocation, all of that. When you get bozos like HSUS putting that ban on the ballot in Colorado, which most likely will pass now, once they get it on a ballot, it is almost impossible to stop that wave. Because now you have 200,000 voters that have already signed to get this on the ballot so it can be eliminated. Predator hunting can be eliminated. And yes, Lynn said, it's New York. Well, yes, it is New York. And that is what it is. But still, okay, actually, you know something, I'm glad you brought up that point. There are states where we can agree with or not agree with ideologically, politically, whatever it is, and how you run your state. I don't care how you run your state. Run your state. California has been run into the ground, but thank God they have an amazing game and fish department. I think they call it the California Department of Conservation or Wildlife Conservation. They have a solid group there that is at least keeping things balanced when it comes to their population expansion, when it comes to their farmland, when it comes to that. But think about this, California. I remember, I forget how many tens of thousands of runoff water. That's water that's used for, I don't know, drinking, bathing, citizens, is diverted to the ocean to save this little tiny minnow called the Delta smelt. And it's hundreds and millions of gallons of water every single year that's just run right into the ocean because they can't overflood certain things. But that was done through legislation. It wasn't done through their Department of Conservation. The Department of Conservation now has their hands tied because the California government's so stupid. So if we think about, it's just California, no, because that has to do with our agriculture. That has to do with our flyways. That has to do with all of this. One of the tenets of the North American model of wildlife conservation is treating wildlife as a resource, a public resource. That means all the states, we do all of this. One of the craziest things, everything another state does impacts its neighboring states. And then those impact that impact is just a ripple effect across the nation. One of the craziest things I ever heard was from John Odell, who used to be the small game biologist for your Arizona Game and Fish Department. He said, I was at it was a migratory bird convention, and he was talking about the delegates from Japan, the delegates from Australia, and he had a really funny story about the Canadian contingency. I said, you got to understand, migratory birds, we're talking about a global thing that we have to deal with here. So when one country it does something, make some kind of change in their migratory bird population management, it impacts everybody, all the entire world. So same here. When we see bozos like Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, I'll say what she just signed. I'll tell you what she just signed here in a moment. But then we see California and Gavin Newsom doing the whole save the Delta smelt nonsense. I think that was Moonbeam. That was Governor Moonbeam. That wasn't Gavin. Anyway, California doing that, it impacts everybody else. And that's just how it goes. Okay. So let's get to what old Kathy's up to here. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Texas. And no, I don't know what the heck I did with that. I think let me I apologize. I actually got it. What they're doing is passing regulation for certain types of what is it? Certain types of hooks that can be used. They're now they can now govern in the state of Arizona what they allocate for hunting and fishing permits. I'll say that again. They now have to let the legislature allocate how many hunting and fishing permits or tags or bag limits. That now goes to the governor and to the state legislators. Why? You're not you are not the expert on this in any way, shape, fashion, or form. You aren't you do not understand. Let me put it this way. A governor's office and state legislators and state senators do not have representatives and senators do not have scientists and biologists on their teams. They have campaign people. They have PR people. They have very intelligent attorneys that read proposed legislation and write proposed legislation. That's all they have. And if they feel that in their district or in their state or wherever it is that they have a sympathy for eliminating hunting or to stick it to those, evil hunters and anglers, and that's us evil sportsmen and women, then they'll write legislation to limit the ability and the access to hunting and fishing in their state. That's not all right. You see, because then they take their conservation department in New York and okay, they've made these changes now. They made these changes. Now we need to study the impact of all of those changes and how it's going to really impact us in probably not the best of ways. So, or make their job a lot more difficult. I mean, I do. I'm always singing the praises, of your Arizona Game and Fish Department and the commission and in our critter groups and all that. I'm always singing the praises of that. They hunt rats in New York. That's right. They sure do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, we're going to get into dogs here in a minute. So it's kind of funny that you brought that up. Nice segue, Len. But we are actually going to hamstring our departments. But like I said, I sing the praises of your Arizona Game and Fish Department all the time because they work with the commission, and the commission does one hell of a job in working with whether it is a Democrat governor, a Republican governor, a conservationist governor, a progressive green governor, whatever it is. They do one hell of a job with saying, get the heck out of our way. Just stay in your lane. Okay, make sure that everything is working, first responders, the roads, all that stuff, and taxes are going to the right allocations. That's great. You do what you do with your tax money. You don't give us, as a department, any tax money. So why don't we do this? Why don't we just do our own thing and make sure that there are the birds and the bees and the deer and the elk and the javelina and all that? We are going to make sure that they're helping populations of trout. And if a trout gets it on the endangered list, we're going to bring it back and thrive and have be able to fish those things, that kind of thing. Get out of the way. That's the biggest problem with, I think, with conservation right now. The biggest trouble spot with conservation right now is voters and legislators. That's all there's to it. Voters and legislators are screwing up conservation. Let me put it that way. Here's the thing, because in the great state of Arizona, we do have a lottery system. And our lottery system is, so those that don't know, if you want to go elk hunting or deer hunting, you need to put in for a draw, a lottery system. You need to spend $13 to buy an opportunity to get a elk tag, deer tag, all of the big game species. You have to go into a draw. There are some over the counter tags, but for the most part, it's a lottery system. There is not a lot of faith and confidence in that lottery system. I'm not surprising anybody who's a sportsman that's listening right now. There's not a lot of faith in Arizona's lottery system because everyone thinks there's shenanigans. Oh, they give all the tags to the out-of-staters for the money because an out-of-state tag costs more than an in-state tag. And no, this is, I'm sure everybody at Game and Fish gets their run of the tags. Not even close. I mean, I can attest to that. I've talked to directors, commissioners that say, I didn't get drawn. The director and the commissioner should get drawn. I'm just saying, if you're going to volunteer 5 years of your life as a commissioner for your Arizona Game and Fish Department, that a few tags should be involved. You're welcome, commissioners. I will advocate for that. I will advocate for that all day. But what if, with all of the shenanigans and the draw elves and all that, and the little the pixies that screw up the whole system, what if thousands of tags were issued by mistake? Oh, it happened. I cannot believe this. This is the craziest thing I've seen in a long time. You have probably heard over the last few days, the Microsoft outage, the CrowdStrike outage, that hurt flights. I think something over 4,000 flights around the country were canceled, not delayed, canceled because of a big giant software update outage. Yeah, go get surprising. It's Microsoft. Yeah. How about this? Software glitch wrongly awards tags to 738 hunters in Washington state. More than 1,400 special hunt applicants were affected. Some drew tags they shouldn't have, while others lost out on tags that they should have drawn. And then what do you do at that point? Talk about a complete nightmare. Again, I don't believe in a lot of things that Washington State does. They're going to get what they deserve. They're going the way of California, so is Oregon, the entire Western whatever. But I don't envy any game and fish department in a state like this that is pretty much all about thumbing their nose at the North American model of wildlife conservation and just doing what they please. And New York is in there as well. But then this happens. After all the looniness, this happens. A software glitch awards tags to 738 hunters. 1,400 applicants were affected. Again, some getting tags that they shouldn't have gotten, and then others getting not getting tags that they should have gotten. Where do you start? Where do you start? Because here's the deal. You send me a tag, that's my tag. That's my tag. You will have to come to my door and physically remove said tag from my hands because I got a tag. And if because if you call me, and people that know me will attest to this, if your number's not in my phone, I don't answer the phone. I don't answer my phone numbers I don't know. I mean, usually I'll get a 480-602. I'll figure that might be a doctor or something like that. I don't know. But I mean, for the most part, if your Arizona Game and Fish Department called me, I wouldn't pick it up because I wouldn't know the number. And these people have to call 1,400 people and say, you're one of the 738 tags that we shouldn't have given. And then there's another, basically I would get all of those out of the way if I'm calling these people and then save the rest of them, the other 700, and say, hey, guess what? You didn't get drawn, but you really did. So we're going to send you a tag. But what do you do now? Because there's no way in hell you're going to get hold of 738 hunters. They think they got tags. They're right. They're ready to go. They're going to go out there. So what do you do from a conservation level, from a management level? Do you just shut down the season? I mean, that would be the only thing that I could think to do. I'm absolutely blown away. Or just tell the 738 hunters, like, look, you didn't get drawn. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the bonus points for next year, or we're just going to give you a tag for next year. You're already locked in. 738 tags. We've locked you in for next year. Sorry, we totally screwed up. But the problem is that that's what common sense tells us, right? Yeah, common sense tells us that's the best thing to do. But we're dealing with government. I'm really sorry for that Game and Fish Department, though. But my heart does go out to them, because as much as the furor that comes up every time that that the draw comes out, and people are looking at their cards and, do you get hit? Do you get hit? Do you get hit? Do you get a tag? Do you get drawn? Do you get drawn? Then you say, no. And it's like, oh, those damn Game and Fish guys. Yeah, the torches and pitchforks. Let's go get them. Just that alone, when you're doing it right and it's on the up and up. When we're doing it right and it's on the up and up, everything is difficult enough, even when you're doing it right, like Arizona's Game and Fish Department. And then poor Washington, they've probably done it right this whole time. And then, boom, there's a computer glitch that just throws a whole wrench in the system. Hey, Washington Game and Fish, give me a call. I might be able to help you through this. I want to call the people that didn't get drawn, but I get to tell them they got drawn. See, that's the way I like it. I said government stay out. Here's why I say government and voters stay out. Here's a fun headline. Texas bird hunters fund a new drug that is saving wild quail. The medicated feed combats 2 parasites that have devastated wild quail populations in Texas. Big Pharma didn't do this. Government didn't do this. Even the Texas government didn't do this. The feds didn't do this. Outdoorsmen and women did this. Just like most of the things that you see here in Arizona, most of the conservation happens because of non-government people, NGOs, the critter groups. Wildlife for Tomorrow. Go to wildlifefortomorrow.org. Grab your tickets to the banquet coming up next month. I'll be emceeing it. Thank you very much. But the government didn't do this. Everybody jumped in. Everybody kicked in. Sportsmen and women kicked in, funded a study at Texas Tech, and financially supported it for Texas Tech to come up with this feed that they're going to throw out to the quail that's going to help them combat these parasites, and then boom, healthy populations, and away we go. Texas Tech working with Texas Department of Conservation to make sure that, these are the places that you're going to put this stuff. This is where the parasites most likely happen. And by the way, these areas over here, we don't mind if the parasites happen, because again, we're trying to manage populations. Do this, and this. Private sector, how about that? University funded studies and in development, and then working with science and their conservation department. That's how it's done. That is how it's done. And I love positive press like this, because this is something we should celebrate. I remember, and I don't even know if it went down. I guess I should probably ask Scooter from the Arizona Fishing Guides. A while back, and this was probably 10-ish years ago, probably a decade ago. Everybody was upset about, people are, out fishing all these largemouth bass, and they're not adhering to the regulations, and they're overfishing them. And so the largemouth bass population in Arizona is small, and the size is small. So we want in Florida, though, it's off the rails. They have 10, 11 pound bass just all over the place. We need the Florida strain of bass here. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea, guys. But I think it was worked in conjunction with Game and Fish, or I'll have to get to the bottom of that. But as long as everybody's working at the bottom line of all of this, as long as everybody is working with their conservation department and not legislators and voters, I think we are in good shape. Here is what I found, which is interesting, because it's an age-old question. It's an age-old question that I get a lot, being a big bird hunter, is what is the best bird dog? Like, what do I get? I want a bird dog. What do I get? Let me tell you something very just same as boats. Okay. Hunting dogs and boats are the same. The best boat you can have is someone else's boat. The best hunting dog you can have, someone else's hunting dog. I'm not kidding. And there are several reasons for this. And it's interesting to me that there are so many sporting dogs, so many brands, so to speak, of hunting dogs that it depends. It's like going to a car dealership and saying, "Hey, how much does the car cost?" Okay, well, what are you going to do with this car? What kind of car do you want? Yeah, that's the same with hunting dogs. What kind of hunting are you going to do? Okay, are you going to hunt big game? What are you prepared to do? And I think that's probably the biggest question that I have for anyone who says they want to get a hunting dog. What are you prepared to do with this dog? Because this is, well, I don't know about pickups, Jim. Jim put in boats pickups, and no. I actually saw one of the best bumper stickers I said a few years ago. It said, "Yes, this is my truck. No, I will not help you move." That's setting boundaries. My girlfriend just got a truck. I haven't told her that yet. She's going to have a lot of people say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, it's not a truck. It's a truck." Yeah, because it's a little thing. But people are still going to ask, "Hey, can you help me move? Hey, I need you to meet me at the nursery. I got a couple plants I just bought. I need you to help me." Setting boundaries, people. Got to set boundaries. But I wouldn't put trucks in there. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, serious. You had hounds? Oh, coon hunting is. I could imagine how cool that was. And I always wanted to do that after I read Where the Red Fern Grows. Right? I want to do that. Old Dan, Little Ann. Totally want to do that. In the end, old Yeller-esque ending. Maybe never want to read a book again. But I've always wanted to coon hunt. That would be so amazing. Raccoon hunting with hounds, and just watch the hounds do what they do. They have technology in their collars, and maybe Jim, maybe this is maybe you're hunting before this kind of tech came out, because I think it's relatively new. The collars, the hunt collars, have GPS on them, and that's nothing new. Have GPS. What it will do in some cases, especially for raccoon hunting and cat hunting and bear hunting, what it does is it tells you which one of the dogs has their head up. And if they have their head up, that means they've treated an animal. I think that's so rad. That's amazing. Yeah, 60s to the 70s, but they didn't have that tech out there. Boy, but the game has changed. I mean, could you imagine that? And I think Jim will agree with me on this. What are you prepared to do with your dog was the question. Are you prepared to have two? Do you have a big yard? If you have a sporting dog, I'm telling you, you need to have two. They need to run their energy out. They need to keep each other in shape. They need to play with each other. They need to chase each other. They need to do all of that stuff. The second thing is, damn it, they need a job. They need a job. They have to do something each and every day. It is their job, whether that is to go get the mail with you, that is to bring you your slippers, whatever it is. A sporting dog needs a job. And I know that sounds weird. It's not like, you're adopting a dog into indentured servitude. They need that for their DNA. And if you don't believe me, just go out or just watch any of my hunting videos that I have with the dogs. You will see them in fourth gear, sprinting, and every cell in their body is just firing off, because that's their job. Their job is to hunt, and they love their job. But if they aren't getting exercise every day, some sort of job or task every single day, whether it's in basically when you're not hunting every day, basically just it's throwing a ball or throwing a bumper out there to them that they can retrieve and bring. Like every single day, those dogs are not happy. Those dogs will not have a fulfilled life. It just leads to a lot of problems with the dogs. And another pro tip, by the way, this is a lot of breeders will back me on this. If you spay or neutered your dog too fast, too quickly before they hit puberty, that's where you get hip problems. Yeah, that's why a lot of dogs you'll see just it's hard for them to walk later in life because all of those hormones go to the hip and develop the hip muscles and hip tendon, all the tendons and the joints uh, for that time. So just you have to wait until they're like 3 or 4 years old to get them cut, so to speak. Mhm. How do you get rid of destructive ground squirrels? A wrist rocket or air gun. Lynn, if you ask me these kind of questions, those are the kinds of answers I'm going to give you right there. Yeah. I'm or a trap. I'm speaking again. I'm that kind of guy. One of the funniest things to me is that my grandfather, when he passed away, my grandmother said, "Hey, honey, do you want your grandfather's cat traps?" And I'm like, "What?" Yeah, cat traps. What in the world? Like, oh, Grandma, no. Cat traps. Does Grandpa has cat traps? Yeah, he's got 3 of them. I'm like, what in the world? He's dead and gone now, so statute of limitations is fine. I'm like, no, I don't think I want the cat traps, Grandma. Thanks. And then my mom's over here laughing, and she's telling me about these cat trap stories. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he'd let him go. They had a collar on and stuff like that. He'd let him go. If it's a neighborhood cat, he'd let him go. But the strays, so to speak, yeah, that's just not a good. It's anyway. We'll move on that. But yes, that's the way to do that. But the dogs maybe that's a dog. Maybe it's a dog deal right there. Go ahead and get the squirrels. Yeah, dachshunds, wiener dogs. Jim, I'm glad you brought that up. Wiener dogs actually are hunting dogs. They were made to hunt. Actually, hunting dogs. Same with Shar-Peis. Like, there's these little foo-foo dogs that you're like, nope, that dog won't hunt. The dogs were bred to hunt. So I don't really know about that if you need multiple dachshunds. I don't know if you know about that. I don't know if I don't know if you need that. Because I don't know if they need a lot of exercise. Do they? I don't know much about dachshunds. So, but the little wiener dogs. But yeah, I think that they should, yeah. Bred hunt rodents. That's right. They did get in the little tube. It's a tube dog to go into the tube hole. Yeah, it seemed like it would fit. But those are so Lynn, if you have a buddy that has a dachshund, just send him out there. Just see what he brings back, and that's it. So anyway, the dog needs a job, needs constant exercise, and I'm telling you, if you have a friend that has a hunting dog, go hunting with that dog first. Talk to this person about the pros and cons of having a hunting dog or multiple hunting dogs, because it's an investment. It's an investment in time, it's an investment in energy, and it's definitely an investment in finance, because it's a lot of work. And hunting equipment is not cheap. You got the kennels, you got the collars, you got the right food. That a lot of hunting dog owners will have 2 or 3 different sets of food depending on what season it is. Like during bird season, it is like the most high energy, crazy. I mean, just load them up with energy kind of food. And if you're kind of squinting like this, going, really? That's it. That takes that. Yeah, it takes that kind of commitment and that kind of energy to have a sporting dog. So just go out with your buddy who has one, and then talk to that person, or just call a breeder. A breeder is really going to be honest with you. I highly recommend Julie down at Bear Paw Ranch. She will be straight up with you on what it takes to have a sporting dog, because she actually has one of my old dogs, Jaster, who I've never seen a dog with more energy in my entire life. It was more than I can handle. But she is like his stud down there, because it's got he's a savant when it comes to hunting. So she will be very straight with you, very honest with you. And yeah, actually, I think her website is honestdogbreeder.com. So if you have those kinds of things, and again, it's 197 million degrees outside right now. Please make sure your dogs are hydrated. Please make sure your dogs are staying off of trails right now, and just be really cognizant of that. Just remember constantly. It's like you going outside with a fur coat on in this heat. It's just absolutely it's crazy out there. So early morning workouts, or I would just say that's really it. I mean, even nighttime right now is in the hundreds. So early morning workouts are fantastic, and just keep the dogs safe. You look at their tongues. If you can tell they're dehydrated, if their tongue is losing color, they're dehydrated. If their tongue is if they're breathing and the tongue starts to curl up at the end, that's a big indicator that it's time to get that dog a lot of water, but in small increments, so they don't chuck it up. How about that? Okay, yeah. So watch out for the doggies. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. And shaded pools, my man. I tell you what, I there's nothing cooler than seeing a dog get in a pool and just that's what I don't know. And it helps them not stink as well. All right, y'all. Let's do this again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And let's talk a little bit more about the dogs tomorrow, shall we? Let's talk a little bit more about the safety, dog safety, and the do's and the don'ts. So let's do that tomorrow right here on the Go Show, celebrating all things outdoors in this beautiful outdoor playground of a state, nation, and world that we live in. Have a great day, everybody.